Hello, welcome to Politricking with myself, Tshidi Madia. This is episode 16 of season 3 of a politics podcast brought to you by Eyewitness News. So you need to keep an eye, and that's really all I'm willing to say for now. You need to keep an eye on the BRICS conference. We're edging closer and closer and closer, and our government still doesn't have an answer around Vladimir Putin, right? What we've seen in recent weeks or recent days were ministers on a charm offensive in the US. Of course, this is over AGOA. We've heard the EFS Julius Malema say this is not a Ukraine-Russia war. This is Russia versus the United States, claiming that the US is using, right? Are you getting that? That the US is using Ukraine in this battle between these superpowers, Russia and the United States. We've seen Russia pull out of the deal that would allow the Black Sea to be used for grain. And I think that makes the US a little bit happy because some African leaders feel that this is a betrayal on the part of Russia. In the meantime, our country's in the courts trying to explain why Vladimir Putin should be allowed in the country. As I said, we don't have an answer for that question yet. Must he attend virtually? Should it be moved? That's already been taken out of the equation. We know that BRICS will take place, the summit will take place here in Johannesburg. But whether or not we'll see the Russian president remains the question mark, really. That's something to keep an eye on. What's also interesting to watch is the suspended public protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. I don't know if she'll never not be interesting for the right reasons or wrong reasons. That's on you. You can make your own assessment and your own decisions, and you can make sense of who and what she is yourself. She joins me this week on the podcast along with her husband. Yeah. David Skosana, very colorful character, also participating in a sit down with the advocates. He's also there at media briefings. So I guess that's where we are as a country. Take a listen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tshidi.
Let's start with the Concord judgment. I mean, the tweet that you put out, it did not disappoint. I think that's what you said. The courts did not disappoint. It is what you expected. And just talk me through that moment where what you thought would happen was affirmed. It was a long battle. It was a judgment that ATM was fighting to have delivered, obviously following a full bench of the Western Cape High Court's judgment. It took a really long time to get to it. Your thoughts as it was being delivered, and as you said to us, you're not disappointed. Well, it's not disappointing.
I'll start by saying, I've been having experiences, various bad experiences with the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court, which I thought will be there for this constitutional institution, and having direct access to the Constitutional Court. But then, what made me to be skeptical about them is the judgment on the Reserve Bank, where they, allowed me to be clobbered with personal costs. That was a shocker for me. But then, for them to wait for almost 8 months for something which was agent, hence I was even saying several times, possibly you are also part of this process, politics possibly, because why they waited for so long to deliver the judgment. And I even said, possibly it will help the law students to understand and read about justice delayed is justice denied. They should have delivered this judgment within 3 months, actually, but they failed to do that. So, hence I was saying, anyway, I was not, they didn't disappoint. That's what they did.
If you're wondering about that noise, we are catching up with Advocate Mkhwebane at the sidelines of a media briefing she had in Pretoria. So there is a bit of movement in and around us. Just excuse a bit of that noise. With me, as far as the courts are concerned, it feels like a futile exercise. You have a pending matter around, I think, the chair of the Section 198 inquiry, 194, Section 194 inquiry. You have had these matters, and you use the phrase clobbered, and you use quite often that you've been clobbered multiple times on a personal basis by the courts, yet you keep going back. Talk to me about the importance of going back to try and get remedies in these very courts that you seemingly think are by and large political.
Let them dig their own graves deeper, especially the ones who are, not objective, who are subjective, who will always read and just take whatever the narrative is out there instead of focusing on the facts before them and understand why one is approaching them to exercise her rights. I mean, if you have a court which is supposed to be, dealing with any citizen fairly, Tshidi, and I go to them and say, the husband of the complainant is supposed to decide on my fate because it's a matter of life and death.
Yes.
Then the next thing, the courts are saying, no, wait until they issue the judgment. Well, the very same judge commented with we Justice Portfolio Committee before being appointed as the chairperson that, don't come and tell us about incompetence here as well. Then you make that person the chairperson, and his behavior over and over, the way he deals with me and my legal team, the time we are given, the space we are given to cross-examine the witnesses, to make applications, to ask for extensions. I mean, he refused and continued. After I said I'm sick, the doctor's note was there, then they proceeded with the testimony of Ms. Tejane, Nelisiwe Tejane, as if, they don't care. So how do you proceed with the person like that? But the courts decided no, they will be proceeding. How do I pay personal costs with judgment here free city when we presented our side of the story and said to the courts, Madonzela never issued the report. I didn't change any report. I mean, for example, you're working, you have this podcast, let's say you can't proceed tomorrow. Your colleague, you drafted some notes. These are the questions I'm going to ask and how I'm going to structure my podcast.
Similarly with what colleague Talega, the now acting Public Protector, has done with finding out the Parapara report. The questions were sent by you, they picked up from where you left off. That I'm going to accept, I hear you.
So now she's being blamed, but then with her it's something else because it was at the initial stages.
Yeah,
but in this instance, I'm blamed to Gucci. I changed her report. There was nothing like that.
She's gone on to say,
and she even confirmed herself that there was, but you know that we took a personal cost there, which the Pretoria High Court issued. I appealed to the SCA. They were never interested in listening to me. Possibly they decided on pay. Well, they did look into the papers. They were convinced, and even the Constitutional Court also were convinced that no, the judgment of the Pretoria High Court must
be upheld. I want to almost segue from the courts because I think the conflict there will remain no matter what. You'll still go to the courts, but you'll also go with the Muslim apprehension. I think you said that already. You said they must continue digging their own graves. So I don't think that it's worth even going back and forth still. We know where you stand, we know where they stand supposedly. The Section 194 inquiry, as we speak now, to you, is the outcome clear already? Are you expecting a predetermined outcome?
Tina confirmed it. Tina, the member of the committee, she said it. And I said I will share the transcripts, which you can ask from the press club. She said it herself. This is the outcome. And Janji is delaying. Janji says you must pay 200,000, me 200,000, Majodina, because they are even angry that they will not meet ministers, and now the project manager is appointed to fast track this issue, change the strategy, don't proceed with her orally. Remember, I was in the middle of my testimony.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, yes.
So the outcome is there. Fikile Mbalula, you've seen her tweet.
We've been listening to him, we've seen his tweets, yeah.
He says, I'm the former public protector. So,
but you are a few months out the office.
But
in
am I the
essence,
former public protector?
You're about to be, but not yet. So that for you is already an indictment. They've already written you off. That for you is enough.
And
we'll talk about Fikile
they are running with the motion of the DA. First time in the history of the ANC, you are in bed with the former oppressors.
I don't think that's actually true. I think that the ANC and the DA have worked together. If you looked at the Western Cape, I mean, it depends on what you want to argue.
On taking a decision.
In taking a decision.
And approving a motion. Which motion?
Was put forward on the table by the DA in Parliament. That I'm unaware of. But I still say it depends on the context that you want to say about them working together with the DA.
I'm just mentioning there.
You're talking about this. But let's go back to the issue of the inquiry. There's this back and forth, this impasse over whether or not you met the deadline. You say actually no. It's not a question of the deadline. They say you haven't met the deadline to submit your written responses. You say no, you objected to having to write to the committee. What happens there? Because time is running out. I don't imagine that you would want to continue with this process when your term of office ends.
What's still there to continue? Until I'll be the former public protector, as Fikile Mbalula is saying. But I mean, Anita, now the process is to determine my fitness to hold office, isn't it?
And we point
I'm
still,
still, yes. So now for what?
We do not. I don't know. I'm a little bit split on the part where it is also about clearing your name. But if you see a predetermined outcome, I imagine that it feels futile, which is the position you seemingly have taken.
Well, they've taken the decision already to get rid of me. But you know what? I would even go back there tomorrow as soon as Judge recuses himself, because I won't subject myself to him. We have another chairperson. Then the attorneys allowed space to read and understand the record and brief counsel. Then I go and finish my testimony, and the issue is CX. And the issue of the staff complaints.
So you are actually willing, your issue remains the chair of the particular committee. I want to speak a little bit about whether or not, when you reflect back on what's happened over the past few months, would it have been easier to maybe get into an agreement over a golden handshake as opposed to put yourself through what's been happening over the past few months?
What golden handshake? You know what? It was supposed to even come from them if they were considerate enough not to waste not even 80 million. Let's not count what they've paid my legal team. Tshidi, I give you a task today, and I'm challenging you. Can you publish tomorrow how much are the evidence leaders? How much have they been paid to this day? So that you report factually as a journalist, and the public truly knows, is 30 million from Mkhwebane, how many millions from the evidence leaders? As a country, we've spent so much money, and Mkhwebane was left with how many months in office when the hearing started? Why didn't you, as Parliament, it's one of the things which I'm saying I'm considering to do, issue alternative dispute resolution. How to resolve conflicts, because it's basically what the public protector is doing, and hence I'm saying I need to serve in those spaces, in countries, in whatever, resolving conflicts. Why didn't they just say, Mkhwebane, you are left with this, we are no longer in our plans, this thing, we are no longer proceeding with it. Can you maybe then, we can pay you until the end of your term, maybe go and serve in someone. I would have considered possibly and say, hey, maybe. But knowing myself as well, on second thought, because
you would have not.
I would have said no. We need to, we need to clean this country. we need to be preaching what we are saying. Because Mina, that's what I was doing. Exactly. And making sure that we deal with everything according to the book. But why a golden handshake? Why proceed with something like this, Tshidi? Realistically, 412 reports I've issued with the team, and I'm not praising myself here. That hard work was done by the team. Yes, under my leadership, but then as well putting pressure on them. We need to lead by example, because our core mandate is investigating improper conduct and maladministration. In maladministration, the key is undue delay. So let's make sure that we do that. And out of all those, a fraction of those reports are taken on review, and only 4 of those, or 4 or 5, I'm facing the issue persecution in the parliament. And unfortunately, those judges, I'm still going back to them, they allowed themselves to be used to impeach me, because now they are mentioning Abu Fikile. Yeah, the judges have said this. And
I always say we'll come back to him. I want to go back now because you brought the judges back. What does that then say to you? You spoke earlier about what we're trying to do, clean the country. When you are caught in a cycle where the courts have really been looked at the last avenue in terms of governance in our country for a very long time, where many arms of the 2 other arms of the state have seemingly failed us in the past, and we've looked to the courts as what saves the country. So with the comments that you're saying about the way the courts have approached you, what are you telling me about where we're going and where we are as a country?
We are in deep trouble as a country. Unfortunately, the courts, not me alone, unfortunately the courts have failed South Africans. That one, I would say it with example. Look at the cases which were brought before the courts to deal with issues of justice for the public. Issues Zaboma mining charter, for instance, issues Zaboma BEE, issues in the health sector, issues in the water-related space, access to that. Issue ESCOM, there was an application by NUM, I think, where the court just dismissed it and said it's not agent. How long is that matter pending now? They never had the merits of that matter. And what would that have done? Because it was dealing with the issues of renewables. Never then. So I'm just saying to you, unfortunately, the courts have not allowed themselves to be the last line of defense for the public. Because look at the reports I've issued as well, and the merits of those reports, and check Wuti. When we defend the matters as the Public Protector, we were defending them, defending the mandate, defending the complainant. But then unfortunately the courts, instead, some of them, instead of just finding solace for the complainant, they just deal with me as a person.
I want to try and move away from the issue of courts, but I want to also quickly touch on the section 194 inquiry once again. Your husband, Mr. Davis Kosana, is also here, so maybe I'll be able to pull him in for comment here and there. Definitely want to hear his thoughts on Fikile Mbalula. But the issue of Tina Joma Peterson that you brought on the table, I know you feel the media doesn't play those tapes, hasn't spoken about it. I actually said to a colleague of mine, I think we've tried to give it airtime. I just don't know if it'll ever be to your satisfaction. But
did you play those recordings?
Yes, one of my colleagues was there, and she came back with the recordings.
Did you play
but the recordings, she played them on 702 and the bulletins for EWN. But there was also an issue with them because, as your husband pointed out, we're in a restaurant. We work in the business of radio, so sound does also matter. So I think she played what she could from those recordings. What I always say is that people are not assessing us properly as media. There's a lot that's said about us, but not thoroughly assessed. Did you speak to, maybe I must ask you, Mrs. Kosana, the reason why you agreed to meet with Tina Joma Peterson when you knew she was on a committee that's looking into your wife?
Not really. I mean, if anyone wants to see me, yes, I avail myself. If you want to see me as well, I avail myself irrespective. But obviously, I was anxious to understand why she wants to talk to me.
And now, as it stands, Tina's not here anymore, but you've got the tapes. It is something that's hanging. I will come back I want to come back to you about Fikile Mbalula, but let me continue on this track with, on this line with Tina. Your sense though of what's happening to your wife, at the heart of what you and Tina Jomat allegedly discussed and what's been put forward, and what you're seeing unfolding around your wife, and the refusal really to entertain what you've put forward as evidence on your part.
Seems simple. For me, it's not that like I alleged. There's no allegation from me. For me, it's what Tina told me. Tina told me, this is what is happening. He showed me minutes to say, this is where we are, and she feels pain for advocating Mkhwebane. He even said to me, look, the issue of 200,000, I'll be the last one to be paid. For me, it's about those two people, being Penny Machodin and Richard Janji. And I said to her, Tina, let's negotiate. I said to her, let's negotiate. Because I wanted her to come out, about this matter. I said to her, look, what about 150? He was a bit skeptical, a bit, but remember I was recording. So I had to play along, like I'm not recording.
Because you were looking for something.
And then he said to me, no, look, don't worry about me. Because I don't want the advocate Mkhwebane to go through what I went through. Because he said there were allegations against her about the, what is it, the crude
was
oil.
energy, there was a lot of things.
Yeah,
there was the nuclear deal, there was quite a few.
Yeah, but there were two which I've mentioned to her. He said, no, these people just brought up some things and I won in court, but the lawyers took all of the money. I had to sell it in my house and my pension. And I said, but your husband was rich. He said, no, I don't want your wife to go through. Let's stick to what we are talking about. These people are here. And I mean, those WhatsApp shows, he said, these people are here, these people are ready. Yeah, besides the recordings, but they synchronize. The recordings and the WhatsApp, they synchronize. And she's been very patient until where I messed up. When I say, you know what, I'm tired, I'm going to go for a press conference. Then he was a little bit now scared. He said, but if you do that, they'll kill me. That was her who told me that.
That's how you entered the fray. Yeah. Advocate, you mentioned Tina's death quite a bit. You mentioned in the media briefing, in your affidavit, you speak about how it's mysterious. We don't know the cause. What do you know that we don't understand?
What do I know?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I mean, I said I don't know, but with what happened and the comments she made to my husband that, these people will kill me and I'm done if they can even find out what happened. Now, all of a sudden I must appear. All of a sudden I'm raising the issue of the WhatsApp messages. I think there was a journalist who called her about that.
Yes.
Then a day or two, Tina is no more.
Yes.
So for me, sometimes legally there's what we call there's a causal link between the incidences which happened prior to her passing on.
Looking at the sequence of events.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that I don't know what killed her, but it's good that there will be an inquest which will determine that. And it's good that the matter is investigated by the Hawks, because the Hawks will then have to do their forensic investigation.
But Tshidi, what you guys are missing? Daily Maverick said that it was a long illness. Daily Maverick, after Tina's death, they said it was a long illness. Then we question how long illness, because Tina was in Johannesburg.
There was so much speculation. And also it was unwell for a while. I did the last interview with Tina in March maybe, and she wasn't necessarily okay. So that's why it's up in the air. But as you said, if they went to do an inquest, she wasn't 100% when she came to see me. But she came to see me because she'd been cleared by the ethics committee, and she needed somebody to hear her out.
Yes,
so
I met her after that as well.
She flew all the way up for a hearing.
Yes.
We experience it at different times. It's also okay. It happens.
But for me, what we are missing as well, media, I'm talking about you guys.
Is that a fraternity? Yeah?
Have you seen the funeral of Tina Jomat? If I may ask, has anyone seen anything?
What is the assumption that you draw from that?
No, I'm just asking.
But what do you draw from that? There was a memorial. We didn't have access. The family asked for privacy, supposedly.
Yeah.
So we didn't see the funeral. What do you draw from that?
No. For me, we have seen private funerals. We know about private. It's not something. We've seen private. We've seen private funerals. and pictures, because remember, Tina was a member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, we know, even if it's private funeral, but one member or so would be there. It won't be my son, my daughter, and my mom if he's still alive, and my brother, and then that's it.
Hi, David. What about the wishes of the family?
There's no picture there. No, we'll see. Look, I mean, I can tell you, I've buried Tsomudise. It was a private funeral, but from that Nazareth, they say we can't be too many. They just say, those who are closer to the family, you go there. But it starts from somewhere.
From somewhere. What I will take from what you're saying is that there is a conspiracy theory play of sorts. I hear you.
No, I'm not saying he's not dead.
I don't think you're saying he's alive.
No.
What I'm saying is we'll wait for an inquest.
Yeah,
Both
let's
have
wait for
mentioned
the
an
inquest. Yes.
And I think that is important, and I take that.
Yeah.
Advocate, just your reflections on your time in office. Your term is drawing to an end quite soon. Some in the ANC might have already written you out of office, but you're still there, supposedly, but outside. What are your thoughts as it draws to an end?
I would say, I would have loved to protect the public more. There's still a number of members of the public who, they still contact me and on how they are treated in the office, because now apparently they are even told, people who are, because we are dealing with the poor, the marginalized, people who can't exercise their right. Sometimes you have a complaint and you sit with it, you will go to your neighbor, you will go to this one to deal with the matter. When you go to the public protector, already 2 years has passed. Now, sometimes they are told they must prove why the office must continue investigating. Some of them, their matters are closed, because they're saying, no, we can't investigate the matter further.
So people are being frustrated in your absence.
The ones who have approached me, and I mean, that institution, when I said, is the key and a very strategic institution. Actually, is the national investigator. As a public protector, when the complaint is brought to us, you cannot refer a person to another institution like.
So in essence, what you're saying is you feel from what you've been hearing that the line of defense that exists, that is the office, isn't playing its role to its maximum capacity, or at least to what you want it
and
to
especially
be.
Remember, we don't charge any fee. People can't go to courts. So we are the key investigator. We cannot be referring matters to SIU, to other institutions to investigate. When people come to us, unless it's something falling within those people's mandate, because the Public Protector Act allows you to do that. So my remaining months, because now I'm being refused to go back to the office, I would still call upon the investigators, because serving as a public protector is a calling. It's not a position which you would say, I'm there for, to be liked and stuff like that. Just your focus should be on those poor people, how you can intervene and change their life, because they can.
But not from outside, because you're not allowed into your office.
Yeah. No. I need to interview.
Yeah, I'm asking
whoever
you.
will be listening.
Will know that you are here to try and help.
Who's in the office? When they come to you, help as much as you can. If it means spending more hours because you're helping the members of the public, I know possibly your seniors will say, no, close this matter or refer it. But
so do you have a line of communication with investigators still? Is that what
No,
you're
I
saying?
don't have.
You don't?
I'm using your platform. I need to manage
no, we're going to tell them that they can still reach out to you for guidance and advice. In hindsight, would you have accepted this job as 7 years ago if you knew what it would have been like for you being in this office?
My mother, I said it, Uti, she said, hey, I've seen how they've been treating Utulu Madonsai. Hey, I'm not advising you to do that, but I said to her, you know what, I would want to go and serve. I could see Anita work in the public protector before, but I was seeing what was happening. I don't regret a cent. I don't regret accepting the nomination. I don't regret doing that work. it gives me comfort to this day. Look at the cases I've said we've managed to resolve with the team. You know, people who were sleeping about Ikemele community, Maspumelele community, you know, people who were failed and who are still failed by the system, by the way, Tshidi. And you guys are busy after me, Section 194 and everything. And, you know, if we can have this energy, as a collective, I'm also challenging you. Let's go back to those rural areas, to those communities.
And see where they may failed. That is important, but the big bad wolf that is the media doesn't focus on those. Apparently, that's not true. Actually, I disagree with them, but I hear you. I'll take it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that the regret of her, you know, sometimes
as a husband, do you regret taking up the job?
But I have mixed feelings, in particular, that I've just realized that unfortunately some of her staff were snakes, and I want to put it categorically like that, straight, that she was working with snakes.
David is such a character. I want to come back to you a little bit later. I want you to hold for a little while. I need to try and wrap. You think you're being set up to fail from the very beginning? The DA did not want you in that office. The EFF has changed its mind. Do you feel like from the very beginning there was an attempt to make sure your term of office is also embroiled in conflict and you are not clothed in glory?
Yes, indeed. Remember, DA, being they say I was a spy, then they never supported my appointment. Remember, Tshidi, as well, after I investigated that CX matter, it was the worst. Because there you are touching the untouchables. And I only say the banks, Tshidi, and issuing that report, then you find our own people whom you are trying to say, there's this money, which can be brought back to the fiscus to deal with it. You know, one of my family members, I wouldn't say the name, but they know who it is. She was based in Washington, D.C., embassy, and they attended this function in New York, AUN. But then there was those NGOs, which were Soros and them. And they were asking the South African government, when are you getting rid of Mkhwebane?
So you've had a target on your back for a long time from where you stand?
From that investigation. Hence I'm saying that matter is the biggest issue or it's something which I did and they never forgave me for that. And I mean those private funders, they are funding the DA, funding the ANC and everyone. So hence they would want to make sure that I am removed from the office and they deal with me. And remember, some of you were running with the notion that I'm the Zuma person and stuff like that. You know, I don't know how many times.
They placed you at RET. And specifically with someone along the lines of Isma Khashule. But I will get into it. I want to try and get there, but I want to try and wrap up. I'm wasting too much of your time. Your deputy has received the most nominations to replace you. Do you think she should have availed herself for the job?
You know, I think CIC Malima has mentioned it succinctly to say, how do you, as a person, you do ipalapala and then it's like, you know, actually not even CIC. There was somebody who said it, one of the respectable SCs, you know, sometimes these judges, the way they deliver their judgments is because it's like they're marketing themselves, you know. Know that I'm in which side of whatever. I mean, colleague, it means you wanted to be the public protector. She did the investigation. Anyway, her attitude and how she changed. Well, she started whilst I was in the office. After that, it was like I'm her enemy, you know, myself. But we are not talking about that. Whether a lot of nominations or whatever, I think she should have given herself more time, because she never worked in that office like in the past, like I did. And I think she still needs to understand the mandate of the public protector more than dealing with the public protector office as if it's a court of law. Hence, I'm saying the 2-year rule, they've started turning people away. If she could then understand that she has a discretion to deal with these matters, and she's not a court of law where she would strictly say a paid work is like this, but then the spirit of whatever section we are dealing with and how it prejudices a person. So I think Judge Maya, Deputy Chief Justice Maya, who also possibly, actually apparently I never realized that the president said he's nominating, he was nominated by the president,
Yes.
but then also nominating him for the
As Chief Justice.
So now, again, what do you say? Because it means you are marketing yourself and you are saying, I am captured and I'm going not to deliver any judgment against you.
So you're ultimately saying for you, Deputy Chief Justice Mandisa Maya and Deputy Public Protector actually in the same exact boat.
Same example, because they still want to prove themselves. They still want to get the permanent appointments in these particular positions. So they've got a lot to lose if they don't toe the line.
Before I move on, you said she now treats you, your deputy, now treats you like an enemy?
She did. I mean, first time when I was taking the matter of suspension to court, she then wanted Sianako to withdraw because the Sianako doesn't have a mandate. I mean, she started when I was commenting about the leak of Abramje, that the judgment of the court is going. Because I was traveling overseas, then she wrote to the state attorneys to say, Yana, she doesn't know anything about this matter, distancing herself.
I want to very quickly get the reaction to the ANC, and now the ANC feels vindicated, in the words of Fikile Mbalula. Your husband had very strong words to say about Fikile Mbalula. Just for you, earlier you said they were already written you off, they wanted you out of office. When you listen to Fikile Mbalula, what crosses your mind?
I think Fikile Mbalula is, remember I investigated her matter, the trip to Dubai. And for his information, Mr. Mbalula, wherever you are listening, when we were investigating the matter, we met with the investigators and the chief investigator, the late Mr. Madiba, and we were asking him about this trip and everything. I said to him, okay, you can't speak in front of the investigators. Can we then go to my office so that we can engage and you tell me what exactly happened? Indeed, he told me they paid for him and this is what is happening now. Remember, he was the Minister of Police by then, and they are after him, they don't even want him, and there was some whites in the Northwest who are hell-bent to get rid of him, So he told me who donated and everything. We went back to the collective, the bigger meeting. Then I said to the chief investigator then, the late Mr. Madiba, I don't remember who was there as well. Some of the investigators will remember that. Then I said to them, okay, go ahead and investigate. I'll see what the outcome is. But I told him that, unfortunately, yes, the team, they investigate. They will get everything and the records and the monies and how it came about. But unfortunately, it's out of my hand. Indeed, what happened is that when they gave me the preliminary report, the Section 79, exactly the people who paid for him, the monies they gave him, and through whom.
Why are you nodding your head?
Well, he knows he's in that space because he was the Minister of Sports. Remember?
I know the guy who paid that.
And then he knows and through whom. But the issue, I wish if the late Madiba was still alive, though there's allegations that I ill-treated him, but we worked so nice with him. They came with that report, and in my head I was saying, wow, these guys are good. Well, me saying these investigators, because exactly the person, how the money is moved and stuff like that, exactly. Yeah? Then he's angry, ngaleyo report. But unfortunately, there was not. To show what I was objective in what I'm doing, the report which was brought, I issued as is, and he said he'll take it on review. He never did. Now the very same ANC, which is preaching who they are dealing with, the corruption, self-cleansing, they continue to appoint him to be the Minister
Secretary General. He became a minister. He continued.
Transport.
Yes, he continued in government.
And there was another report when he was a Minister of Transport, appointed some advisors, and there he agreed. They agreed. They were dealing with the investigators. That okay, even those advisors know we'll pay back the money. We issued the report.
But to you, the commentary that he's giving,
he insulted me. Put I'm a hired gun. I opened a case because you remember Section 9 is very clear. You cannot insult the public protector and the deputy public protector. I opened the case with the the police. They took it to Badoi and their team. They decided not to prosecute. And then before I was suspended, I was demanding the nolle prosecute certificates, which I will still demand.
because you want to now take it on private prosecution. So it's personal. The comments he's making and nothing to do with the Palapala outcome. It's you and him.
Well, he's angry, and I was doing my job, and so unfortunate that now he's talking about Thuli Madonsela as if he never. There are 3 or 4 reports which Uthuli naye, the courts have commented very badly. Well, if it's bad against me, the irrationality, absconding.
She's also reports challenged.
Yes, which now Fikile is lying that there's no record which found against it. There are courts there. And
David, David, you feel very strongly as the partner, obviously, of the advocate about Fikile Mbalula's commentary on your wife in public.
They're comrades, I can recognize it. And I'm telling him, you must just leave this ANC, which is
I'm saying
he must leave the ANC that's treating you like this.
He was in exile.
No, but you say you must now leave the ANC that's treating you like this.
How do you stay with me and you find the party which is
I'm saying to you about Fikile, what upsets me about Fikile, instead of addressing comrade about the issues of the ANC, is invoking the name of the Public Protector.
And everything.
You understand what I mean? For whatever reasons, because of he's upset about what those findings when she was still in the office, and I'm saying she was doing her work, but now for her to go on attacking and insulting her, and unabated. With impunity, no one says anything. Even the president, who's supposed to be protecting the public protector, is quiet because of the findings against him. And I mean, if you remember, Grove,
the actions against him
in the court, he said the president doesn't have powers to discipline ministers. And the report of the public protector, in inverted commas, binding, but it's not a judgment. It's not a judgment. So I don't know why this hate. Of one, because you can go to court, like as she said here, to say judges. You gave me an example of Tolmei and Potter, and many of them. Some of their findings, their judgments. I'm not talking about findings, or like the public protector. The public is not a judge. They are told by the so-called superior courts to say your judgment is not a sound judgment. They set it aside, they dismiss it, and whatever. But what are the consequences? Some of them are promoted. In one calendar year,
you make the same argument. You're both making the same argument.
Yes.
People are out to get themselves promoted, are marketing themselves.
Yes. And I'm saying, why there's no personal courts against those judges? Like for those Western Cape High Court. Why, if those judges are wrong according to the Constitutional Court, and they say, no, they are wrong, but it doesn't matter. We must just impose personal courts against the public protector. And I'm saying, how much is the public protector earning with those costs they are imposing daily? What does that mean to you? Well, they are inhumane for me. They are inhumane. They are beyond reproach now.
David, have you asked your wife to walk away from this?
I did, yes.
Okay, she said no.
Yes, I did. And she refused. She said she wants to, give her side of the story. Because 2 judgments, I'll give you an example, because I'm sitting in that committee, or that section 194, supporting her. 2 judgments, by Bakwa, by Jafta, lies, I'll put it like that, I'm not a lawyer. They were lying, because they were saying that in the report, the public protector, in one of them said, she did not see he did not see the report, that what you call that
the Inspector General
report, and it's not there in the report. And Bakwa said as well, it's so upsetting.
And then Jafta is saying I invented
a code. And the code, the ministers and everyone was sworn in with the same code, but they said no, it was her own making, and we must allow that.
But you're not, since you're here. Public Protector, just now as I wrap up.
No, I must open for someone.
It's okay. As I wrap up, where to next? You say that people might see you still serving the public. You might be independent. Should we be shocked if we see you in a red beret?
What should I be? I told you I'll be the free agent. I'm weighing my options. But Mina, biggest issue I'm concerned about, Tshidi, whatever political party or whatever I'll be doing, the starting point for me will be the Constitution. I think, a lot of countries, I think Skakani mentioned it in one of the UNISA lecture, and I also discovered when I was doing the CX investigation, the sub-matter. I remember I did the comparative studies of the various countries. Some of the countries, our UK for instance, they don't have a constitution, do you know that? They've got various legislations which they're using. So a lot of countries, some of them, they don't have a constitution. Tina, the very same UK people who were brought here in 1993-4, they came and then put us in this web and came up with this constitution.
Determination for so
yes,
it's correct for me to then say to read from what you're saying.
This constitution is my starting point. A party which will understand, because no matter what we will be doing, whether it's Red Beret, whether it's ATM, whether it's whoever, when we operate under this constitution, we are not going anywhere.
So your starting point is working towards changing or amending or improving in your eyes,
or even doing
South
it
Africa's
away
constitution.
with it and come up with a new system of governance.
What system would work in your eyes?
You know, if for truly, I mean, even if we can adopt the very same system which the UK and US is having various legislations governing whatever we have, which is the composition of the constitution, and when something changes in the financial sector and we say no, we need to change it, we just amend the legislation, because now you need 2/3 majority to amend the constitution, especially and the issue of the land. And land is so important, KCD as well, when it comes to that. And also I'm a farmer.
Are you also a farmer? There's so many farmers in that country.
Organic.
Yeah, but she's a farmer who's not benefiting like the president.
Hence many other politicians. Thank you so much for your time, both of you. That's it from us. A special thank you to Lerato Herfela, Duduzile Masuku, and Tshidi Twala. For Eyewitness News, my name is Tshidi Madia.